Once upon a time, there was 2 eggs, and they were so lonely until a swan came by and decided to adopt them. She picked them up on their back and took them to the hospital to try and make them hatch. The eggs were finally moving. It was so grateful to finally move again. Anyway, they were put into this to keep them warm through their hatching. So, the swan turned the heater on to make them warm, to make them hatch more. And the swan never ever knew what these eggs would hold, but she just knew that it would be amazing to have baby chicks. It would be amazing. She put the 2 chicks in this and closed it. The eggs were left alone in the heat. The swan was so excited that she even watched them. See if they would hatch. But when you're waiting for something, it doesn't always do it when you're watching it. So, the swan even built a nest in one of the cages to watch them. One of them wasn't like the other though. One of them was totally different from the other. One started to shake and shake and shake. Shake and shake. The swan heard that noise and she thought one was hatching, but it was actually just movement in the egg. She came immediately and looked in, but couldn't see a chicken there. She went back to her nest in the cage. One of them actually hatched that one day. It was shaking so much that it was actually breaking out. It was so amazing to actually do it. It was like so cute. It was a pheasant from an egg. It was unbelievable. The swan didn't even notice the cracking. So it quaked and quaked and quaked, and the swan heard it and went back to it and saw one baby pheasant, and it was so adorable. She got it out of the incubator and decided to name it Peach. She just decided to name it Peach because Peach suited it. So, her name was now Peach. The swan loved Peach, but the other egg will not hatch. She wondered what it could be, but she put the thing back on and ran with Peach because it just looked so cute. The swan never ever knew what the other egg will hold. The egg never ever hatched until one day it started to shake. The swan was unbelievable. She started jumping like so crazy, but she didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was until it actually appeared. It was a quail and a pheasant. She loved them to bits. She opened the door and tried to pick it up, but it was so small that he couldn't even pick it up. So he or she came down, and the swan tried to pick her up, but she was just so tiny. She was so tiny to even pick up. Peach was left in a cage with lots of food, but on the same time, the swan didn't know what to do with these stuff, so she didn't know what they needed or what they did. So the Peach did not like this. She needed food. After the swan ran and ran to try to pick up this quill, and she finally made it. The quill was on her back. She ran and ran and ran. She ran and ran and ran to the same cage that Peach was in. The chick went in, but wasn't very happy with their state. The swan came back and realized that they were lying down. She thought they were just sleeping, but actually they needed desperate help. She didn't know what to do, so they grabbed a medical kit and some medicine to help them feel better. It actually did help them. I'm not joking, it actually did help them. They drank it and they felt a lot better. And once that happened, the swan absolutely loved them. She decided to name the quill Buttercup, because the buttercup suits it. And one time, Buttercup grew up. She grew up. The swan was so glad, but the sad thing is that the swan needed to let her go into the wild. She was so sad to let him go into the wild, but it was for his own choice. She dropped the bird and let it fly, and flew away. By the way, I'm gonna spectate, so I'm not into this, so it doesn't get boring for you guys. So I'm just gonna spectate, okay? Just don't mind me. Pretend I was released into the wild. All the swan was left was with Peach. The Peach was the most special one to him. He didn't want him to be let into the wild, so he didn't know what to do because he didn't know. He wanted him to stay, but he had to grow up. So the Peach grew up, and the swan was so sad. He was way too big for the cage. He wanted to keep Peach, but at the same time, they couldn't keep Peach. So the swan did what was right. He picked him up and put him into the wild. He was so sad. He didn't want Peach to go. He was so sad. But Peach had to go into the wild. So he let him go, and Peach was saying goodbye. The swan has raised them into lots of stuff, but they have to be released into the wild. Peach flew away into the sunset and was never seen again. Well guys, hope you enjoyed this roleplay. If you did, make sure to smash that subscribe button in the face, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.